Ambassador James Woolsey served as director of the CIA. He's currently board chair of the Foundation for the Defense of Democracies, and he joins us from Washington, D.C. Always good to have you with us, Ambassador. While this is the largest release of documents found by the Navy SEALs in bin Laden's compound, most of the documents remain classified. However, what we're seeing, does it give us some insight into the inner workings of al-Qaeda, showing that bin Laden may have been more in charge than initially believed?
That seems to be the case. It looks as if this idea that he was sort of a lion in winter, off in a cave somewhere, sleeping, and that al-Qaeda was operating without much interaction with him, which was the notion that the Obama administration thought was the case, and so did some of the intelligence agencies in the U.S. It doesn't look like that was true. It looks as if, from the documents that were released so far, he was very much involved in decision-making about where al-Qaeda should strike next and what they should do.
And talking about that, as we just heard, his focus remained on attacking the West, the U.S. in particular. So it seems clear that he would not have favored what ISIL is doing, or even what the al-Qaeda-affiliated Nusra Front is doing in Syria, where they're attacking Muslim regimes.
That would also seem to be true. ISIL is attempting to build a caliphate. It's attempting to build an empire, essentially, and is working hard at it. The financial report you just had shows what they're getting, $1 million a day from oil and so on. And that is not really the case with al-Qaeda. Which is not, as far as we know, trying to build a caliphate. So really now you have in the Middle East two empires. One is Iran and its extensive operations, whether in Yemen or in Syria or wherever, throughout much of the Middle East. And the other is growing, is ISIS. And into a caliphate. And those two sets of ruling institutions give those movements added strength and capability. And so I think any sort of understating of the problem, such as sometimes comes out of the Obama White House, is not wise. Both of these empires, or incipient empires, are at war with us and want to destroy us.
Now, the documents also show bin Laden was concerned about how American drones were, quote, killing many jihadi cadres, leaders, and others, and how they were exhausting al-Qaeda. Any chance these documents were released to garner support for the drone program, because they seem to show that it's effective?
Well, that might have been the case. Certainly, whoever picked the releases could well have made some choices about what was important. But as far as we know, that's not at odds with reality. The drone programs have been quite effective. The question is whether that's wise, whether it's wise to continually kill the leadership of al-Qaeda, or would it be wiser to try to capture some of it so we could learn from interrogation and the like what was planned. But in terms of the technical effectiveness of the drones, I think that's probably accurate, even if it was selected in order to make the point.
The irony is that bin Laden complains about the drones, saying Americans are too cowardly to fight them on the ground. This, of course, coming from a man who hid in caves and sent others to slaughter thousands of innocents on 9/11. As a former director of Central Intelligence, do you think releasing all this information was a good idea?
No. I think that generally speaking, since we are now at war, and deception is an important part of war, we should use whatever information comes to us in such a way as to confuse the enemy. If we have a lot of information, we should make him think we have very little. If we get very little, we should make him think we have a lot. We should do whatever would help us deceive him in order to defeat him. I'm afraid the Obama administration thinks of this more as a police action, which is what actually we called the Korean War, even, not wanting temporarily there to admit that it was a war either. I think that trying to pretend that this is something like a police action is a very bad approach toward things. We need to recognize this murderous entity, Al-Qaeda, and the two incipient empires of ISIS and the Iranians. We need to label them clearly and speak clearly of what they are.